Welcome to SoulScripture, where your awakening isn't accidental, it's ancestral. Chosen one. You're not here by luck or coincidence. You've arrived at a divine crossroads, a moment that was etched into your soul's contract long before this world ever knew your name. This Thursday isn't just a blip on your calendar. It's not an ordinary date. It's the celestial hour your soul has been whispering about. The appointed moment heaven itself circled in eternal ink. You may have felt it before hearing it, an unrest beneath your calm. A sense that something was approaching, but not yet visible. That wasn't anxiety. It was alignment knocking. The signs were subtle but persistent, a change in your sleeping rhythm. A sudden pull to isolate. Dreams that felt more like messages than memories. They weren't random. They were reminders. Your spiritual self has already caught wind of what your physical reality is only now beginning to reveal. Thursday is not arriving. Thursday has been calling you, and now you're here. This is not the week to dismiss your intuition. This is not the moment to shrink back into routine, because something sacred is converging, a divine instruction meeting your prepared vessel. The shift is already in motion. And no, you won't need to force it. Because this time, you're not chasing the breakthrough, it's chasing you. There's a divine reason you're hearing this now. The energy around you is thick with transformation. This is the type of day that reshapes timelines and rewrites destinies. You've stepped into a pocket of time where heaven's will is ready to manifest through your hands, your thoughts, your movement. So take a deep breath. Let it settle in your spirit. This Thursday isn't just about change. It's about confirmation. You are not late. You are not off course. You are arriving on time to what has always belonged to you. And once this day unfolds, nothing in your life, nothing in your spiritual alignment will be the same again. Chosen one. The weight you've been carrying wasn't just stress. It was sacred tension. You've been walking with something inside you, an invisible heaviness pressing on your chest, clouding your thoughts, agitating your peace. And yet, somehow, you've endured. You kept showing up. You kept believing, even when the evidence gave you nothing to hold on to. That burden you've been dragging, it was labor, not punishment, not. Because before every divine birth, there is pressure. Don't let the enemy convince you that your struggle was meaningless. Heaven doesn't waste pain. The emotional warfare you fought in silence. The invisible battles that no one clapped for. The internal storms that left you breathless. Those were the contractions of a breakthrough. You weren't breaking down. You were breaking open. You see, before the blessing comes clarity, and before clarity comes the squeeze. That squeeze you've been under lately, it was the divine tightening the gap between your past and your future. You've been caught in the thin place, the sacred tension between not yet and almost. And this Thursday, that tension breaks. Not with fanfare, but with release. God didn't abandon you. He hid you. And in that hiddenness, He refined you, not to destroy your spirit, but to strengthen it for what was already promised. Because some blessings are too weighty for untested hands. And now that you've been tempered, you're ready to hold what others would have dropped. This isn't about working harder anymore. The age of hustle is closing. You've entered the season of holy flow. That's why you've been so tired your soul was shedding the outdated belief that you must force what's meant to find you. This Thursday, the shift becomes visible, not just in your atmosphere, but in your awareness. What felt hard will begin to soften. Conversations will feel lighter. Divine timing will catch up to your obedience. Because now, you're not striving for alignment. You are alignment. Let this sink in. The pain was never a detour. It was proof of proximity. The closer your breakthrough got, the more resistance you faced. But resistance is the final indicator that you're about to walk through the veil. And when you do, the very thing that once crushed you will be the platform that elevates you. The burden wasn't random, it was prophetic. And now, the weight lifts. Chosen one. As the burden lifts, your senses begin to sharpen. What once felt distant now draws near, not through thunder or lightning, but through sacred whispers. The divine rarely shouts. It speaks through alignment, through patterns, through subtle cues embedded in the fabric of your day. And this Thursday, those whispers become undeniable confirmations. Have you noticed the synchronicities increasing? The dreams with strange clarity, the number sequences repeating at just the right moment. That's not coincidence. That's God's language. The universe is echoing back your readiness. You've stepped into spiritual resonance, and the frequency around you is harmonizing to match what's already been spoken over your life. There will be signs. Pay attention to the ordinary. The sacred often cloaks itself in simplicity, a stranger's words that strike like prophecy, a delayed meeting that leads to divine timing, a door that doesn't open but suddenly makes sense why it stayed closed. Don't miss them. You may hear something that sounds like it's just for everyone. But deep down, your spirit will know it's for you. That's how divine communication works. It bypasses the intellect and pierces straight through the soul. Expect these moments. Welcome them. They're heaven's way of showing you that your name is active in the spirit. You've waited long enough for vague promises. This is not about guessing anymore. It's about recognizing. Recognizing when God sends someone as confirmation. Recognizing when stillness carries more instruction than a sermon. Recognizing when your body chills at the right phrase, because your spirit just received divine truth. This Thursday is heavy with those kinds of recognitions. It will feel like déjà vu, but it's not a memory from the past. It's your soul catching up to what it's already seen in the spirit realm. Chosen one. Don't overanalyze it. Just honor it. You won't need proof when you've got peace. And peace is exactly what will wrap around you like armor this week. Peace that says, you don't need to chase. You only need to listen. Because when your energy shifts into divine listening, your atmosphere follows suit. Conversations will begin to align with your purpose. Ideas will strike like lightning. Doors will open not with noise, but with ease. Stay sensitive. Be still. Watch what unfolds when you stop trying to decode the entire future and simply follow the signals heaven is already giving you. Chosen one. Let's talk about timing not as the world sees it, but as heaven defines it. You've likely felt like you've been on pause, as if everyone else got green lights while you sat at a spiritual red, wondering what you did wrong. But here's the truth. Divine timing doesn't operate on your watch. It honors preparation, not panic. The delays you endured weren't rejection. They were refinement. God was not denying your vision, He was strengthening your vessel. You see, alignment without readiness creates collapse. And you were never meant to collapse under the weight of your calling. This Thursday, the weight reveals its purpose. Everything that didn't make sense begins to thread together. All the not-yets, the closed doors, the disappointments, they become data points in a divine pattern. Suddenly, the pieces don't just fit, they flow. Because this moment was never about working harder, it was about becoming ready. And you are. You've stepped into the moment where your inner development finally meets external opportunity. That's why you feel the pull to move, but without fear. That's why something in you has settled, even if the outer chaos hasn't. That's how you know this shift is divine. It doesn't ask you to push. It invites you to align. No more fighting timelines. No more questioning your pace. Your path was never meant to mimic theirs. Your timeline is tailored to your mission. And this Thursday marks the moment when timing bows to destiny. There will be no fireworks, but there will be peace. Peace that confirms you're in rhythm with your assignment. Peace that tells you to stop striving and start receiving. Because when God says, now, the doors that used to creak open suddenly swing wide. Chosen one, you are not late. You are not forgotten. You are precisely on time for a move of God that couldn't arrive a second earlier. The delay wasn't punishment, it was synchronization. And now that the inner clock of your spirit has aligned with the divine appointment set long ago, Thursday becomes more than a day. It becomes a threshold, so walk through it boldly. You don't need every answer. You only need alignment. And you, chosen one, are finally in sync with your becoming. Chosen one. Let's speak plainly, Al. This Thursday is not just a window, it's a door. And it's not the kind of door that creaks open halfway and leaves you wondering if you're welcome. This one swings wide with certainty. Because once heaven opens a door, no force on earth can shut it. And once you walk through it, nothing will look the same again. But here's the part you must understand. This door isn't external first, it's internal. It begins inside you with the moment you stop questioning if you're worthy and start knowing that you've been called. That inner shift is what unlocks the outer breakthrough. So if you're feeling uneasy, if there's a stirring in your chest or a restlessness that won't let you be still, it's because the spiritual door is already open. Your body is catching up to what your spirit already stepped into. And no, it won't always look divine at first. The opportunity may come wrapped in something that feels too ordinary. A conversation, a message, an urge to make a move you've postponed for too long. Don't overlook it. Destiny rarely arrives in grand entrances. It comes disguised in obedience. This Thursday, prepare yourself for one of those disguised moments. It may not feel like an explosion, but it will create a ripple, a holy tremor that begins shifting the very structure of your life. And once it starts, there's no going back. What blocked you before will lose its grip. What delayed you will release. What resisted you will reverse course. Because this isn't just breakthrough, it's reversal. It's divine justice wrapped in favor. It's heaven declaring, this one endured. Now let them walk through. And you will. But you must let go of hesitation. You can't walk through a divine door holding on to fear with one hand and destiny with the other. You must release the illusion of control. Let go of needing to understand every step. This is the season where clarity comes. After obedience, chosen one, this isn't another cycle. This is a corridor, a passage, a holy upgrade from what was into what it says. Always was yours, and the moment you walk through it with faith instead of fear, the room on the other side will recognize you even before you speak. The door has been marked, your name is written on it, and this Thursday, you walk through. Chosen one. Let's talk about the shift you're about to feel, not in your circumstances first, but in your energy. This Thursday, something subtle yet undeniable will settle over you like a divine hush. A peace that doesn't numb, but empowers. A stillness that doesn't freeze, but moves you. This isn't ordinary peace, it's strategic. It's heaven's way of telling you you're in position. And here's the paradox. The moment things begin to align, the enemy tries to stir confusion, but you won't be moved by noise. Because when you've encountered divine peace, you stop reacting, you start discerning. That's where your power is. You begin to respond not to pressure, but to purpose. People around you might not understand it. They may ask why you're so calm, so sure, so still when everything looks uncertain. Let them ask, because they didn't see what you survived. They didn't walk through your lonely nights, your quiet tears, your hidden surrender. But this Thursday, they'll see the glow that surrender birthed, the calm authority that only comes when you've been refined in the fire and didn't lose your soul in the process. Don't be surprised when conversations change, when people begin to speak to you with a new tone, when doors start opening that you didn't knock on. Because what's happening now isn't hustle, it's recognition. Not by man, but by the spirit realm. You've been promoted in places that matter, and that promotion shows up as presence. Your silence will speak louder than your defense ever could. Your restraint will reveal more power than your explanation. You're moving differently because you've become different. The inner clarity you hold now will start to echo around you. That's what spiritual maturity does. It announces itself without saying a word. This is why your energy matters more than ever. Guard it. Protect it like it's sacred, because it is. You're no longer entertaining conversations that drain you. You're no longer begging for seats at tables you've outgrown. This Thursday affirms that you are the table, that you bring something heaven assigned you to carry. And when you walk into rooms now, don't be surprised when people pause. They won't always know why, but their spirit will, because something on you has shifted. It's not pride, it's alignment. You're not forcing your way in anymore. You are that. You are the access, chosen one. The atmosphere is adjusting to your new frequency. And this Thursday is heaven's declaration that your presence is finally being matched by divine positioning. Chosen one. Let's be real. There was a time when you thought you had to prove yourself, when you felt the weight of convincing others that you were called, that you were chosen, that your vision wasn't just a dream, but a divine download. But those days are over. This Thursday doesn't require proof. It carries authority, not the kind that shouts or demands attention. No, this is quiet authority, the kind that walks into a room and shifts the air, the kind that speaks volumes before you open your mouth. Because something in you has crystallized, a boldness that's not loud, but certain. A knowing that doesn't need applause to validate its truth. You're no longer seeking permission to move. You're no longer looking for affirmation from those who couldn't even see your seed, let alone recognize your harvest. This is the season where you stop asking, "Is it time?" and start declaring, "I'm ready." Because you are. This Thursday, spiritual laws respond to your alignment. You're not receiving based on effort alone. You're receiving because you've become a match to your next level. And spiritual law is clear when alignment is present. Access is automatic. Don't be surprised if the opportunities that eluded you before suddenly return. Not because they changed, but because you did. You're no longer moving from survival energy. You're moving from sovereignty. You're no longer driven by urgency. You're led by clarity. Some people may fall away. Don't chase. Some may question your silence. Don't explain. This isn't arrogance. It's ascension. You're not above them. You're just beyond that level. And that's what happens when heaven promotes you without a press release. You've stopped forcing doors because now you are the gate. You've stopped shrinking to fit because you've learned to stretch with purpose. And now, everything that used to ignore you will have to recognize you, not because you demanded it, but because God decreed it. Let this Thursday be your entrance, not your announcement. You don't need to show off. The oil on your life will do the speaking. Let the results declare what you've built in silence. Let your presence carry the revelation that you've already crossed into something new. The version of you that once doubted, that version won't survive this shift. Because this Thursday affirms something your soul always knew, but your mind couldn't yet grasp. You were never waiting for permission. You were waiting for alignment. And now you have it, chosen one. You've arrived at the threshold not just of a new day, but a new identity. And while the world may still see the same face, heaven sees the unveiling. This Thursday is not simply about receiving a blessing. It's about recognizing yourself as the blessing. You are not stepping into something external. You are stepping into the truest version of who you've always been. That unease you've been feeling lately, it wasn't confusion. It was expansion. The walls of your old identity were becoming too tight to contain the magnitude of your becoming. And now, with the rising of this sacred Thursday, the old shell cracks, not in chaos, but in quiet glory, not in noise, but in knowing. Your inner world has already shifted. You felt it in your thoughts, in your dreams, in the way you've started saying no without guilt, and yes without fear. That's divine maturity. And now, the external world will begin to mirror what your soul has known for months. You've changed. You've stepped out of waiting. You've exited the wilderness. And now you are crossing into the land of fulfillment, not perfect, but prepared. You don't need all the answers to move forward. You only need trust. Because the doors opening to you this Thursday are not just opportunity, they are alignment assignments. Sacred invitations into places built to match your frequency. Let yourself feel the emotion of it. Let the tears come if they do. They aren't weakness. They are recognition. Your spirit remembers what it survived. The dark nights, the unanswered prayers, the spiritual tests you passed in silence. All of that was preparation for this very moment. And now, chosen one, receive this divine confirmation. Heaven has already written your name into this moment. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are right on time, standing beneath an open heaven, being ushered into the next chapter of your divine assignment. The delay was development, the silence was sacred, and the release was always scheduled for. Now, this Thursday will not just mark your calendar, it will mark your calling. You'll move differently, think differently, be perceived differently. Not because you chased validation, but because you chose alignment. The kind of alignment that speaks in your posture, your peace, your purpose. And here's the twist. This Thursday is only the beginning. What opens now echoes through generations. Your ripple will outlive your presence. So walk boldly, speak deliberately, move like the crown was always there because it was. Now you just know how to wear it. The shift is here.